Hey, and welcome to the Vergecast for the week of April 1st, 2013. I'm Josh Topolsky.
I'm Nilay Patel.
I'm David Pierce.
Today.
Yes, yeah, and
Just today.
Today, you're Nilay Patel.
Yeah,
noted.
And we're back. We're back on the Vergecast, and I actually, well, of course, the Vergecast is where we discuss the week and. We're just going to talk. We're just going to talk about stuff.
What's
the point of even
at this point?
What's
We're
the point
just
of even
do
telling you what we're talking about? But we're actually starting this one off on kind of a downer note, kind of a sad note. We just learned that Roger Ebert passed away at the age of 70 after a long battle with cancer, which I guess he kind of beat it, and it came back, which is cool of cancer, by the way, to do that.
It's very surprising, right? I mean, he yesterday published a long piece saying he was taking a leave of presence.
Yeah,
that was his phrasing, and he was just going to publish less. He'd been at a frenetic pace for so long.
It's very surprising that. You don't expect. He said he was just going to kind of step back, and now he's dead. Yeah, which is very depressing and weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We don't know what happened. I don't know how. I assume that it was cancer related.
Yeah. Nothing.
I mean, I guess it's possible it's not, but
no details have been forthcoming. And
but we'll have a post up on the site about it. Because I think what's interesting about Ebert is that he went from he was always a multimedia guy. I mean, he obviously had his column, and then he had his show.
Yep.
But he really, when he lost his voice due to the cancer, and he really started blogging and tweeting. Like Twitter he was all over for like almost from the start. And he really had a second life, I feel like, online.
Yeah. And there were all these wonderful stories about people would ask him and he would describe, I guess he wrote everything on like little pieces of paper or would type it. And he would always talk about I still feel like I have my voice because I have Twitter. Yeah. And I was like, that's the best reason to use Twitter I've ever heard. It's pretty cool.
It's as a film critic, you could agree or disagree with him. I had both experiences often where I was like, yes, totally with you on this one. And then there were times but great writer, great storyteller about stories. One of the things that I thought he was always amazing at is being able to tell you about a movie without telling you about the movie.
Instead of just summarizing the plot.
To talk about a film and tell you what it's like and what whether you'll like it or not, or whether he thinks you'll like it or not, or whether he liked it, without sort of just telling you what happens. Which is the talent of a reviewer, of a critic.
No, I mean, the only movie reviews I had read, I guess now I'm going to have to do something else. But the only movie reviews that I ever read were Ebert's reviews.
Really? You didn't read A.O. Scott or?
I mean, I would. So those would be like Metacritic, and then I would click over, and then I'd read A.O. Scott.
I read a lot of reviews.
I do too. I read them as like
Owen Gleiberman, who I always disagree with.
Well, I do, reviews. But I read them for like their literary value mostly. But Ebert was the one where it was like if he hated a movie, I just wouldn't go see that movie, and he was the only one who ever really did that to me. Yeah.
I feel like just in terms of film criticism in general. It's very subjective. I mean, it's one thing to say like this phone is sluggish. Right. This one's not. But I'm saying, like that's not really like an opinion.
Sure,
it either is or it isn't.
Sure.
I mean, to some degree, art is a little different to review, and film is really like film and music are the most reviewed arts, right? I don't know. I always take reviews with a grain of salt, but his were always the first ones that I checked.
Definitely.
Yeah. You guys like, okay, what did Ebert give it?
Yeah, and it was very definitive.
He gave a lot of movies that I definitely did not like pretty high ratings.
No, I mean,
Ebert loved, he kind of went for the big spectacle movies in addition to the weird small movies.
Well, I mean, which is also kind of mass market movie review.
Yeah, he's just like a guy who liked a movie.
The man of the people.
Sometimes he would leave and be like, I like that movie and I shouldn't have, but I don't care.
He's a man of the people. He spoke his mind. It is very sad, though.
Yeah. He also really, really hated some movies and was like not afraid to tell
his bad. No, when he really hated a movie, that was his best. That was Ebert at his best.
Like there's this one I was looking at, a bunch of people were tweeting his North review, which is a movie I remember nothing about. I guess Elijah Wood is in it.
North.
Robert Rob Reiner directed it.
Okay. No,
Jason Alexander played his dad, so I don't know how it wasn't good. But the third to last paragraph in this review is, I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it. Hated the sensibility that thought anyone would like it. Hated the implied insult to the audience by its belief that anyone would be entertained by it.
Wow.
And I kind of really want to see this movie now.
I mean, that is really intense.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
And it's like he printed that in a newspaper.
He put it in a newspaper, and that went into the hands of the public.
Yeah.
And how depressed were the people who made that movie?
That movie probably made $11.
Yeah.
Well, we've never heard of it.
Right.
What's it about?
I don't know. Let's see.
It's about
If you know what North is about, call us now.
something going up north.
I don't think
The opposite of south.
I don't think that's
it's
what
a
it's
sequel.
About. Sorry, I'm having a hair issue. It's back. It's
shocking
returned.
news.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
returned.
He plays a kid with inattentive parents, he being Elijah Wood,
Yeah.
who decides to go into court, free himself of them, and go on a worldwide search for nicer parents.
Yeah,
It's sort of shocking. This
I'll be
wasn't a
honest.
great
That
movie.
sounds bad. That sounds like a bad idea for a movie.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so very sad news today,
Yeah.
and obviously our condolences to his family, his wife, and that's just a downer. But this is like what they do on the news. They're so good on the news. They're like, 4 dead in a shooting, and coming up, Fuzzy the Bear. He's not real, but some people think he is. No, but we had today was actually a big news day. Huge news day.
Yeah.
The biggest news day ever in the history of news.
Wait, can I say one more Ebert thing that I just thought of?
Yes.
Because we ran a big piece from Ben about BioShock earlier this week, and Ebert was, I would say, the one place where I always disagreed with Roger Ebert, because I read his reviews canonically, like they were the ones that I read, right? But he was insistent that video games could not be art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one area where he just didn't have it.
Did he
and Ben
back-
wrote a big thing about BioShock Infinite about how this is conclusively art now.
Did he back away from that a little bit?
No, he was actually very much like, I'm not acknowledging this anymore. I'm done talking about this.
Yeah.
What was his logic? Was it
His logic was that because
if you interact with it, it's not.
You interact with, and it's fundamentally a game, right? So there's like a game of chess is not art, which I think like chess players would often be like, no, you're wrong, right? And I think that's actually very interesting. I think there was, I mean, his ability to like write a review of a movie is like unquestioningly great. And then there is this burgeoning additional type of narrative and story.
Yeah.
And that to me is the one place where I think
he had a blind spot for that, but it's understandable. I mean, if you spent your life reviewing film, and you don't intuitively or natively understand or play video games, I think our generation comes to them from a very different perspective than his generation.
He would have been
we should actually talk about.
No, that's the thing. He reviewed a game for Wired and stuff,
did he?
and I think that's like that. It would have been.
Ebert
I would have
did?
loved, for a while ago. I would have loved to see him review BioShock Infinite, or like this new breed of games that is like deeply immersive and like very narrative driven. Since
you brought it up, can we talk about BioShock for a second?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about it yet, right? On the Vergecast.
Oh, Ebert! I'm being told Ebert backtracked.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
He did backtrack.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
but it's just one person.
Well, I hope he got a chance to see BioShock Infinite. That's all I have to say.
So
have you played it?
I haven't played it yet, but the one thing I read that was interesting.
Your life is meaningless.
So I'm told.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I want to know if this is true. What the guy, I read a review, I can't remember where it was, but what the review was saying was basically all of the best parts of BioShock are when you're not actually playing the game, when you're just sort of wandering around and seeing the world, and the shooting distracts from what's so awesome about BioShock.
So I think that it is an action game, and that the action is fun and entertaining. Have you played it?
No.
Okay. The action is fun and entertaining, and it works, and it can be thrilling at times. Very much not the thing that's most interesting.
Flying through the air seems really awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fine. It's nothing. It's not like incredible. Like I've never had an experience like this. The thing that's incredible is that the world is ridiculously lavish, and clearly like the attention to detail is so overwhelming in the world that they create, and the idea of the world that they create, and the storyline is just. Unbelievably compelling. I have to say, it was an extremely compelling storyline, extremely well formed characters. I mean,
what is like the basic story? Can you tell me without ruining the whole game?
You play a character named Booker DeWitt.
Strong name.
Who is? I'm just gonna say spoiler alert because I don't know what constitutes a spoiler anymore.
Yeah.
who is sent to retrieve a girl named Elizabeth from a city that floats above America, that floats in the air.
This is as much as in the trailer. You should.
A city that basically a sovereign nation called Colombia, which is based on, I would say, it takes patriotism to a religious extreme. It's like a religiously, like Lincoln and George Washington and Jefferson are deities to the people who live in Colombia. And so there's a religious fervor to all the citizens, and it's run by the city is run by a guy called the Prophet, whose name is Comstock, General Comstock.
Also a strong name.
And that's as much as I'll say about the plot.
And then you shoot
It's about a man in trouble.
Okay.
And a girl in trouble. And that's by the way, David Lynch. He went on the Tonight Show and when he was promoting Lost Highway, and Jay Leno asked him what it was about, and he said it's about a man in trouble. And he went on to promote Mulholland Drive, and he asked him what it was about. And he said it's about a woman in trouble.
That's awesome.
And I would say this game is about a man and woman in trouble. Okay. But just and then we can move on because I know there's other stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
But I just have to say, just an incredibly compelling story, incredible pacing. It definitely is a game where you like kind of immediately fall in love with the characters in it, and you understand them, and they're really well formed. And the deeper you go, the more like I was playing just so I could get to the next part of the story. I was like exploring the city, and you can do all sorts of different things, and I probably didn't see all of what you can see, but I just wanted to know what the story was because it creates an incredibly interesting, fascinating story. And I have to say that the game completely fulfilled, my wildest hopes for it. And when it ended, I had a feeling that was, and I don't think these two things are really related, but there's a Kurt Vonnegut book called Breakfast of Champions, which is, it might be my favorite, certainly my favorite Kurt Vonnegut story book, and it might be one of my favorite books ever, probably second favorite book ever. When it ends, you feel just like speechless. Mm-hmm. And that's how I felt at the end of BioShock Infinite. I felt like...
So somebody sent me the Ebert stuff. Here's what happened.
Okay.
So he wrote in what?
Good segue back to Ebert.
Ebert 2010, right? He wrote, video games can never be art. And then later he wrote, my error in the first place, he didn't backtrack off the statement. He said, my error in the first place was to think I could make a convincing argument on purely theoretical grounds. And I still believe video games can never be art with a capital A, but I should have never said so. Some opinions are best kept to yourself.
Interesting.
Which is like another really classic like Ebert.
Not quite a backtrack, I would say.
But I mean, he does say, what was it? I would never express an opinion on a movie I hadn't seen, which is like him being like, I don't know.
No, that's a really good point, though. If you haven't played all of the best games, it's kind of hard to say whether or not.
But I think this is like, to me, this is the fascinating thing. For somebody whose opinion I valued so highly, to see where the point had come where you could be like, play this one. It will definitively change your mind.
Yeah.
And that to me is like sad.
What? Oh, with BioShock?
Yeah.
It seems to be.
I don't know. Anybody may have, some people may play this and go, I don't know what Josh is talking about, or I don't know what everybody's so up in arms about. I mean, it has been a critically, like almost universally critically acclaimed game.
Yeah.
Polygon gave it a 10, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
It's basically perfect. And I don't disagree. I mean, I've never felt more satisfied or excited about, it just is an amazing experience. I mean, I was probably near tears at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is pretty bonkers. Like, and as a person who's read a lot of, I've done a pretty good amount of fiction reading, science fiction and fantasy, and just, straight, literature. I think it works in the way that like some of the best art works.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think that people who play it will see similarities to a lot of modern, serialized modern stuff. I don't want to say what, but I think that it was, let's just say that there have been some very popular serialized modern works of fiction on television that that took a lot longer to get through and were far less rewarding than this game.
Yeah.
So
You mean Storage Wars?
Storage. I mean Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
Seasons 1 through 3.
Have you seen the one that's in a trailer park?
That is no. What is that called?
I don't know.
If it's not Duck Dynasty, I don't watch it.
It's called like
'Cause all I
Crystal
ever watch is
Kingdom
Duck
or something.
Dynasty.
It's just
Duck Dynasty
It's
is
real
apparently
bad.
like a breakaway, runaway hit, not breakaway.
It's
hit.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody should watch it immediately.
well.
Okay, let's talk about what we really want to talk about.
All right, Myrtle Manor is what it's called.
Okay,
I watched. We were
Crystal
Myrtle
Kingdom
Manor
is
is like Myrtle Manor is an off-brand Duck Dynasty.
no, because there's no in Duck Dynasty. It's like they're successful because they make the duck calls, right? Myrtle Manor is just literally it's TLC exploiting people who live in a trailer park.
Yeah, they're like, "Are you poor?
Yeah, and the
Can
thing
we
is,
stick a camera in here?"
The thing is, it's like shot beautifully. Like they shoot everything at like the magic hour, so it's like gorgeous.
Oh yeah. I
but-
just saw a show that was like this on like the some weird channel like the Detective Channel or something, where it was Cajun Justice or something, and it was like they were following around some New Orleans cops.
It's like beautiful,
and it looks like a documentary, the most beautifully shot documentary.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The episode I saw, they were going to fire the security guard because he kept on hitting himself in the face with like a water hose. I was like, what am I watching?
I can't believe you saw it.
It was just. I was like, one of those. Like,
even enough
the
to
one
know.
TLC show ended and the other one began. And I was
Yeah,
like, what is happening?
And then suddenly it was 11 hours later. And yeah.
I
I was really worried about that security guard.
I don't know if this is founded, but I blame Ryan Seacrest for this.
I think that's fair.
I mean, I feel like in some way he's responsible.
Oh, I'm
I
sure.
think he did it.
Should we talk about Facebook?
Let's talk about Facebook.
The Myrtle Manor of the internet.
So Facebook today. Sorry, I get so distracted by people walking by here. I shouldn't. I should learn to ignore it, but I haven't. I hate. By the way, can I just say I hate this arrangement? I feel like I'm doing this
It's
the whole
crossfire.
time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but
Crossfire,
like
yeah.
I need to be just looking. So I'm just going to look at the viewer.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Look
at
into their
you.
eyes.
I'll look at Neeli.
I hate looking at you.
Yeah, you guys look at each other.
the worst.
So no, this is uncomfortable. So Facebook, huge news today.
Yeah.
Facebook Home, a launcher home screen replacement for Android. Not that big of a deal, but it has a bunch of just pretty interesting functions.
Well, but it kind of is because it seems like it doesn't sound like that big a deal because it's just a launcher and you know there's a million launchers out there. But it seems to totally hide everything else about Android.
no.
Ish.
But it
Right?
doesn't.
So Google Now, I talked to Dieter, who was at the event. So we had Dieter and Brian and Ellis there. And they played with the stuff. And I just talked to
I mean,
them.
if the dialer is going to be whatever your
The dialer's
is.
there.
Right.
I mean, it sits over TouchWiz. It sits over Sense.
Yeah,
you
it's a
know.
launcher. I mean, I use Apex Launcher on every phone that I have that's not a stock phone, and like this One X, or sorry, not this One, and it's just a one. It's just a one. I'm sorry, it just is the home screen in the drawer,
Right.
and then when you leave that, you're in another app.
Yeah.
and it's whatever that
And
app
Google
is.
Now is there.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
Maps are there.
They're not doing the little chat heads, right? With that just the home launcher. That has to be the phone itself.
No, I think chat heads are.
I think it is part of the launcher.
it's all
Well, how
over the
could
place.
you be in another app and have chat heads appear?
I don't know because they were demoing chat heads on TouchWiz phone. They had three phones. We, obviously our team is like nerding out when we were watching the stream.
That
we were
I
watching
have
the
that is a
event.
question mark because I don't know of I mean, I guess it's a messaging app.
So
replacement
they were
that
showing.
maybe does some
They
kind
were
of custom
showing
notification.
They were switching back and forth between an HTC phone and a Samsung phone.
Yeah.
When they were demoing
Right.
it during the stream, and all of them had SwiftKey installed. Like literally, our team was like zapperdering the stream when they were showing the stuff.
Yeah.
And the chat heads were definitely on a Samsung phone.
Okay, so I don't know that one. So
Yeah.
maybe it's more than a home screen replacement, but the gist of it is that it replaces your home screen, your home area on your. Oh, it also does the lock screen.
Yeah, the lock screen is that's. So what happens?
Wait. Okay, hold on. Then that's got to be a separate app.
No, you can no. I mean,
There are apps for replacing your lock screen.
No, there are
There's,
apps
like-
for replacing your lock screen, but I'm saying that.
Right. So the Facebook Home, it was described as a family of apps.
Okay.
But they're all bundled under Facebook Home. So you download it from Google Play. When you open the Facebook app on your Android phone, if you have a GS3 or a 1X or a 1X Plus or one of these supported phones, you open the Facebook app on your phone. It'll say download Facebook Home. You push it, it takes you to Google Play.
Right.
You install it, and you launch Facebook Home, and it like runs 5 apps.
Okay, and that's fine, but
Yeah.
then that would mean that the lock screen is just like a secondary sort of component. If you're in Chrome,
Yeah.
you're not in their suite anymore.
Right.
So I don't know how chat heads works there. Maybe they were just showing
because
one of
it replaces the SMS app as well.
Yeah, but it's a totally custom notification that would have to sit like as a layer over top of the rest of what you're running,
right? Yeah,
like because those notifications aren't native to.
I know, maybe Dieter and Alice, but they were definitely showing this stuff on Touchbase.
Let's not get hung up on this particular point, but the point is that the gist is there's an app or a suite of apps you can get for any Android phone running 4.0 basically.
No, well, so any Android phone that Facebook selects. Okay. So right now it's the popular ones from HTC and Samsung.
Okay, fine.
And they've said they're going to roll it out.
It's basically a home replacement. So it's a launcher. But they also announced a phone
from HTC
called the First, which is
really hoping that wouldn't be the name.
Which is a terrible.
name. It
makes
really bad. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
It
should be called the HTC like.
Yeah, it should be. The First should be like a YouTube phone.
But the First is basically
like a Reddit phone.
It is basically like it is the bastard child of the iPhone 3GS, like a random Android phone and
it looks
and Windows phone.
Yeah.
Because it's like the new Facebook stuff is all like Windows phony. It's like all of your stuff, all of your people.
I mean, they're aping the lines. They're like the phone should be about people and not apps. Yeah. And like somewhere, Joe Belfiore is crying
into his hair.
It's luscious. He's playing that Journey DVD.
His flowing long hair to dab away tears. But so here we have a video of it, which you guys can run if you want while we're chatting.
Yeah, we have two videos. You get to pick. We can run the hands-on, and we have a supercut of the event. We don't have the hands-on.
Aren't you looking at it right now on the screen?
Yeah, but they can't run it there. Why don't we run? Let's do the supercut of the event, and let's have Zuck talk to us.
Are we going to run the whole supercut?
No, we'll run a couple minutes.
Let's look at
Zuck
the supercut of the
fit,
event. And for those listening to audio, you can listen in on Zuck's stylings.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Today we're finally going to talk about that Facebook phone. If we're all spending so much time on our phones interacting with people, then how can we make this easier? What would it look like if instead of our phones being designed around apps first and then just being able to have some interactions with people inside of those apps, if we flipped that around and made it so that our phones were designed around people first and then you could also interact with apps when you wanted to? What would it feel like if our phones were designed around people, not apps? We're not building a phone, and we're not building an operating system, but we're also building something that's a whole lot deeper than just an ordinary app. You don't need to fork Android to do this. It's a family of apps, and you can install it, and it becomes the home of your phone. So we're calling this Home. Here's what you're gonna see. You can comment right there from the home screen, and Cover Feed is great for being able to stay on top of what's going on with all the people you care about, but sometimes there's a more important message and you want to get notified. So let's say I get a message from my friend. I'm going to get a notification with her face and her name, so I'm easily going to be able to tell if this is a person who I want to interact with now, and if I do, then I can just tap on it to pull her up and interact with her, or if not, I could just swipe away to throw her away.
Anyhow.
So let's say
I think that this is it's clearly, I'll say this, from a design standpoint, pretty good.
You like it?
I like it.
I think it looks super cartoony.
I think it's pretty.
Zuck's avatar.
Yeah.
Because it shows your avatar as like the thing that you interact with.
I think it's a nice balance.
And just the idea of like a smiling.
I think it's a nice balance between realism and sort of computery.
Yeah.
Skeuomorphism and the opposite of whatever
I kind of agree about the faces thing though. It's like you spend all this time going home, you tap your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like me.
That's weird.
Well, here's the thing. So here's the thing. He's like, what if we flipped it around and it was about people instead of apps? It's like, well, here's the deal. I'm doing a lot of like checking stuff out on my phone. It's not a lot of direct interaction with people. Yes, I email people. Yes, I will text or have a Google chat with people or whatever, Google Talk, IM conversation. I'm on Twitter, mostly reading on Twitter, not interacting directly with people. Facebook, I don't really open
well, it's
if
just
I can
weird.
help it.
I mean, to me, it's...
So it's like, but like, here's the thing. But the apps are the thing that I'm using.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like there's a little bit of a... I mean, yeah, you're going to interact with people in your apps. That's what's going to happen.
I mean, I just feel like everybody at Facebook walks around with like a professional photographer all the time, and they take gorgeous pictures of like skydiving constantly, and they're like, "That's what I want on my home screen." Like, I would to make that
check
work
out your
for
friends'
me.
pictures.
Yeah, to make that work for me, I need to get rid of like half of my friends.
No,
like
and half of my pictures.
HTC has this
I just have this
functionality
nightmare like where it's like I take out the phone and it's like some girl from high school tweeting a bikini photo, and my wife's like, "What is that?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
That isn't my fault.
Facebook has a Facebook. Sorry, they on the new Sense, they have a thing. If you put your Facebook account in, it like throws the photos into your photo like gallery app. And when I opened it up the first time, I was like, "Whoa, what's happening here?" Like, I do not want to see other people's stuff on my phone in that way.
Yeah,
like if
I want
to
to go to it.
If I want to see your photos, I'll go find your photos.
Right.
I know where they are.
Yeah.
I know how to look at them.
Like, unless there's
I don't
like
need them on my lock screen.
They're in my Facebook app.
Yeah. Also, like, you're right about this thing with like the skydiving. It's like my photos are like a lot of my photos are of my dog, and they don't look that great. They're like grainy nighttime shots
I
of my
just took
dog
a
on my sofa.
vine of the men's bathroom at work.
Yeah.
Like, that's not
Well,
that doesn't need to immediately appear.
I would
on
actually
everybody's
like that
home
on my
screen.
lock.
why did you do that?
Because they were streaming orchestral Like a Prayer through a
beautiful.
Huawei cell phone,
Speaking of
which is amazing.
Speaking of streaming, I think we need and the bathroom. I think we need. I was thinking we should have a little bit of Muzak in our bathrooms here.
We do. Have
do.
you been to the bathroom
Yeah.
in the studio?
You should go like
No,
right-
I mean in our
David-
one upstairs.
we should get
where
upstairs too.
you should get another Huawei cell
fantastic
phone,
idea.
another JBL Bluetooth speaker.
I don't understand. Is there? It's actually in there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's all, yeah. They've been
Where's
curating
where
an
is it?
orchestral
Where
jams.
where is the speaker located?
Just walk in the men's
It's
bathroom.
just in the.
I don't
It's
wanna
just
do
next
that.
to the
I'm not
sink.
doing
One
that.
whole day was the Angels in the Outfield theme song. It was incredible. It was like the most epic day of my
Okay,
life.
I didn't know we had like a thing going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
There's, like,
Oh, yeah, it's like a
theme
serious-
days
they've been
in the
working on
bathroom.
it, yeah.
But okay, so let's talk about the phone. So there's this home suite of apps, and
Yeah.
then there's a phone. The HTC First 4.3-inch display. We assume 720. It's
Yeah.
like a mid-range.
It's a very mid-range.
It's like
Yeah.
last generation. It's probably like basically the guts of a Galaxy Nexus
Yeah,
or a
AT&T
Galaxy
selling it for
S3.
$99,
$99.
right? So it's-
It
yeah.
comes in 4 different colors: white, black, red, and light blue.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. I wish
fun.
there were more phones with colors, but I
kinda like the blue, I'd
I
say.
like the blue too.
Yeah.
It basically looks like an iPhone-ish, like a 3GS.
It looks very friendly.
And that is like, is that fully skinned or is it just stock?
Well, so here's
and then-
here's the other. So in addition to Facebook Home, the thing you can download for your Galaxy Note 2, which you can do.
God, the
not
photos would
today,
be
April
enormous.
12th.
It's giant Facebook.
Photos
Home.
are huge.
Enormous Facebook house. The manufacturers can participate in the Facebook Home program where Facebook essentially gets deeper access to Android.
Yeah.
And they can roll out these additional hooks. So they can take over the notification center. They can take over, there's a few other things they can do. Messaging.
I love this is the new thing now. It's like Samsung's doing TouchWiz, and HTC's doing Sense, and now Facebook's going to sneak in on the side. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, why don't we do a couple little things in here?
Let's change this.
Pretty much. And so
It's like,
I mean, I think this will be the new mid-range phone for a lot of these companies.
so anyhow, but the phone is, so here's,
Let me figure
ahead.
out who. It's like Samsung, Sony, AT&T, HTC. Yeah, and they were showing.
oh, right, they have partners.
They have partners:
Right.
HTC, Samsung, Sony, and AT&T. And they actually showed an Xperia phone. Again, Zapper during every minute of the event. They showed an Xperia phone while they were demoing home.
So here's what I think. So before this, I was like, who would want a Facebook phone? And HTC made an attempt at doing a Facebook phone. They made a device called the Status, which had a Facebook button that allowed you to, I guess, jump quickly to Facebook, or did it like
it
let
popped
you
up like a window.
Yeah,
and, like, you could push the status update. That's why it was called
But
Status.
I now see. First off, I think that their UI design is kind of pleasant enough that I get what they're trying to do. And after seeing this phone and seeing the UI design, I actually think this is a fairly viable product for a lot of mid-range phone buyers who are going to walk into an AT&T.
And I think this is real. So there's a deli in our building, and the checkout lady she has a mid-range Samsung phone.
Yeah.
She's like an older lady, and it's every day it's open to
Yeah, I
Facebook.
don't think this is for us necessarily.
Not at all.
But I think that there is a segment of buyer out there. I think like your mom if your mom's on Facebook,
Yeah.
she needs a new phone. I could see her going into the store, seeing that red phone, or the baby blue phone, or the white one, whatever.
With a black phone.
With a black phone. If she's like
Evil
a
Mom
real
5.
badass. And the guy at the store is going to say like, do you use Facebook? And she's like, yeah, I look at my kids' photos on here all the time.
Yeah.
This is the phone for you. This is the Facebook phone. It makes it super easy. And people will be like, yeah, I'm into that.
And so there was a big outcry in our comments on Twitter when Dieter was at the live log and they had a Q&A and somebody asked Zuckerberg, will it support widgets? And he was like, not yet. It's not important. And then, like, the nerds exploded.
Right.
But all of the numbers, if you ask HTC or Samsung, nobody ever changes their home screen. Nobody ever changes.
No, it's true. Look at
That's why HTC did Blink Feed, right? They were like, nobody does anything. We have to do it for you.
Just look at anybody, if you're on a train or whatever, check out if they ever go to their home screen. It is, I don't know what's going on there. It is wild.
It's like when you see people with like their computer desktops and it's just 400,000 files all over.
Yeah, no,
that's what mine looks like.
I see people who like leave the Android help thing on. It's like, click me if you need help getting started. It's like, dude, you bought the phone a year ago. And you don't need help getting started at this point.
Yeah, that's an Evo 3D.
They're like scared. They don't,
done.
but you don't even know how because it's a secret function. You have to hold it down and then take it to the trash. Like people don't know how to do that. So I do think that there's a certain buyer. $99 is the right price. I think the phones are attractive.
Right.
I think that the interface is attractive. I think that if you use Facebook a lot, which I do not,
right?
I barely touch it.
Yeah.
But if you use it a lot, I think this is actually kind of an attractive. This will might steer you away from Windows Phone.
So here's
and it'll say like, you get all the Google stuff.
So here's the big question,
and
we've been that's the one.
Well, that is a question, but
right. So we've and our team has been talking about it since the event happened, and I tweeted, Facebook is stabbing Google in the back about as gently as possible because they spent the entire event talking about how open Android is and only Android allows us, and Google did such a good job keeping it open.
Well, they're only stabbing them in the back as much as Amazon.
This is the first step.
But have Gmail
Amazon
on
is like not really a stab in the back.
Is it going to have
That's
Gmail
like we're
on
taking.
It or not? Do we know?
Yeah, no, it's a Google phone. It's a Play, so like it's certified.
Right.
All this stuff. Your Galaxy S3.
So how is this bad
fine.
for Google?
I think it's terrible for Google. Once Facebook establishes that your primary interface to a phone looks like this, all that back end stuff can move away. But once Facebook can establish that first beachhead. They take search away from Google and direct it to graph search.
Well, they can do that for the small segment of buyers who are going to get the Facebook phone, but like the core audience is not doing that.
The huge segment of buyers that might install this other thing. I mean, this is. If you have a GS3, you saw Facebook Home on it, and they're going to do monthly updates.
I think the Home is a much less compelling argument. Like, I think a launcher replacement is some people will try it and get stuck with it and use it because they don't know how to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Some people will try it and then just go back to their launcher. Most people probably won't try it,
Well, I mean, that's if you open Facebook on one of these supported phones, it's going to tell you
a big thing on the screen.
It's a big part of the
but you're talking about changing the way the entire phone works. I think once people experience that, they'll be like, "Wait a second, I didn't want that."
I mean, I think messaging is
I don't think they're going to get tricked into it.
The biggest chance they have to do kind of what you're describing, because like instead of having, they're trying to say just message with a person, like don't care about the platform you use to do it, like and texting and Facebook messaging are all built into the same thing. But that's a lie because when people ping you on Google Talk. You're not responding to them with Facebook Messenger.
Right. But that will be a separate app. They've rolled up SMS and Facebook messaging into the same thing. Like it works exactly like iMessage.
But they haven't rolled up things like Google Talk.
Right.
Well, it works like iMessage, except it'll work on every platform and it'll work on the web. And you'll be able to have they're saying like here's this one running conversation that you can literally have anywhere. And that's like,
well, the SMS won't copy.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like messages on the iPhone. So the SMS are green and the Facebook messages are blue.
Okay.
Right.
But SMS won't show up in your Facebook account, will it?
No. That'll be just on the phone.
Right.
But like iMessage, it'll prioritize
But iMessage
you.
does. They do show SMSs. I mean, if they're like, I'm saying if you send somebody an iMessage,
it will only show up on your computer if it's an iMessage.
Right. It doesn't show up yeah, I guess there's no distinction between like but if you're on your computer, you can only send like iMessages. If you're on your phone, it's like it's in the text message.
I just want to send something to you. It doesn't matter how I do it.
Right. But so they have this.
At that point, I agree with you. That's not a great. Because they've changed what you're actually doing inside of messages.
Right.
So they're doing the same thing for Facebook.
It's almost exactly the same, right? And I just think like they have I don't think launchers, like alternative launchers on Android, are like big outside of the small market of people that use them, right?
That's right.
Nerds, right?
Yes.
I think Facebook Home, when they start pushing that out and they're like, do you have an Android phone? It's almost like getting a whole new phone that runs Facebook. I think that will be compelling for a lot of people.
I actually think a lot of people will probably be pretty upset about that.
You think so?
I think when they install and they don't know what it's going to be and it changes, like they're like, where did my stuff go? Where's my weather widget that came installed on the phone that I look at the weather on?
Yeah.
I think people will flip out. I think people who don't understand what's going on will be very upset.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems
they
like
even had to explain. Sorry, not to cut you off, but they had to explain on stage, like, if you just want to try it out, just hit just this once.
Right.
And if you want to do it permanently, like when people hit always and can't get back to what their regular home screen is, like that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, most people aren't putting Apex on their phone. Most people are just running TouchWiz or whatever. I don't think that that's necessarily a compelling way to get Facebook into people's lives. I think it will be seen as a very like disorienting thing, unless you know what you're doing.
I think that's why they made a phone. I mean, because they're his whole big thing at the beginning was that, you know, we want to do this to any phone, but then I think people will just deal with whatever you give them. And, you know, they were always like the 10 million strong against the new Facebook, and then everybody's like, oh, right, this is just what Facebook looks like now.
Yeah, sure.
And I think this is like, that phone is their, you know, $100 foot in the door, where it's like, they sell you this thing, you get used to it, you know, show your friend or whatever, and then they're like, oh, I just can go download this for my phone.
I will say this, the strategy's interesting. We've never seen a larger company, besides the OEMs, besides the people who are making the phones, we've never seen a larger company. Like Amazon could have done this. Yeah. Amazon could have made the Amazon home screen with the Amazon search box and like all kinds of deep links to their store and stuff and their app store. We've never seen a major company try to do a third-party launcher on Android as a real part of their business.
I think it's genius. I mean,
it's a pretty smart idea.
I think it's terrific. I mean, I will say that the downfall is that at the end and during the Q&A, when they're like, will you put ads in cover feed? Yeah. Zuckerberg was like, yep.
Right.
And that sucks.
Well, that's their business. I mean, their business isn't making phones or making launchers. It's selling advertisements.
Right. And that sucks. Like, ultimately, I don't want a phone that's like, hey, you're in a place.
And keep in mind, by the way, this is also
the hell of a thing to sell, though.
Yeah. This is also
that's what Google's desperately trying to sell.
This is also the Facebook phone and the Facebook home screen, you know, and you have to ask yourself how important Facebook is to you and to the people, the target audience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that stat he quoted, that people on, I don't know if it was just phones in general or Android, spend 20% of their time in Facebook and then 25% if you include Instagram. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm definitely not one of those people. I do look at Instagram a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I check it. I go through my process of checking stuff, right? I've got like Twitter all the time, emails like always coming in, so I don't need, I mean, I know it's there, so I just go and try to deal with it. But, you know, Instagram is like one of those things when I'm like, oh God, what can I check next?
Yeah.
Like I need to look at something.
Something new has to be happening.
I'm always like, oh, Instagram.
Yeah.
I can look at Instagram.
I troll our forums.
What do I do after Instagram? What's my next thing?
Troll the forums. It's really quite entertaining.
I'll look at the forums. I mainly tend to look at the forums.
Forum is
I look at the forums on my desktop or on my laptop because, you know, I can get a couple tabs open.
Yeah.
A couple tabs of insults. Or why did you write this?
Yeah.
But then what do I check after that? There's really almost nothing. Tumblr, I'll look at Tumblr.
Yep.
That's it. And then I'll go to my RSS.
I liked, by the way,
Thanks, Google.
Yeah.
I
liked that David Karp, Tumblr CEO, was at the event, and there was like 10 minutes of just wild speculation that Google or that Facebook was buying Tumblr.
What was he doing?
Come see your new home on Android. It's Tumblr.
That would be kind of
what?
That would be kind of monumental.
Yeah,
I mean that would be crazy.
I think he was just there.
Did not happen to. He was just
he was apparently just there.
I will say Ralph De La Vega from AT&T got on stage.
He wooed really loud. He did a Howard Dean.
Yeah, he did.
Do you remember Howard Dean? He was a presidential or a candidate in the primary.
2004.
A Democratic primary candidate, and he lost one of the major primaries. And you know, during his we're gonna
screamed at a rally.
During his we're gonna beat this thing. We're not done yet.
I think it was in New Hampshire.
He wooed really loudly.
Yeah,
and literally this is how stupid our news cycle is. people were like, "What's going on with Howard Dean? This woo seemed really crazy." And then he was forced to drop out of the race because
like an hour and a half.
Because he wooed too loudly.
And
now Ralph De La Vega has to drop out of
DLV, man. It's all over.
He's never going to be president.
Yeah. He was pumped though.
He was super excited. He said, "This
He's like, will this save us from the iPhone?"
He said, and I quote, "I've played with a lot of phones. This is the most immersive experience I've ever had."
That doesn't make any sense.
Which is just, I mean,
that's like saying nothing. You might as well just say
he was very high on the HTC first.
He's like, I play with a lot of phones, and this is one of them.
Yeah, pretty much the most immersive. So we should move on.
Yeah, do you want it? Is there anything else?
Two more things to talk about this week. One's a little wonky, but it's actually very important.
Okay.
Aereo.
Oh, Aereo.
The service.
Can you explain the Aereo situation?
So Aereo is a company.
Okay, that's great, Neil.
Greg ran a long explainer on this week. You should read it. But Aereo is a company and owned by Barry Diller. They own a warehouse in Brooklyn that's full of tiny little TV antennas.
B. Dill.
They're like
I love Barry Diller, by the way.
Yeah, they're really.
If you don't know about Barry Diller, like read up on Barry Diller.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's an awesome, crazy dude.
And he has a long history of taking on television broadcasters and winning. And this
he also invented the miniseries.
Yeah.
Like, no joke. Really? Yeah.
Yep, straight up.
What was it?
No, I don't know, but
he was like a programming.
He just walked into.
And he was like, what if we did?
miniseries.
He's like, what if we did like 6 hours of TV programming, like serialized?
That's awesome.
Anyway, so Aereo has a warehouse in Brooklyn full of dime-sized TV antennas, and you log into their service, and a computer somewhere assigns one of those antennas to you, and lets you either record stuff onto a
They must have a lot of
cloud
antennas.
DV. It's like thousands, right?
Yeah, there's
They would
pictures.
need more
It's
than
wild.
thousands.
It's like
It's
wild. I mean,
walls
they're like,
filled
What
with
if they
them.
have? What if they have 10 million subscribers?
They're gonna have to get
10 million antennas.
I think they're gonna have to do some math and figure out how many are gonna concurrently use the service. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
and
is
they're
like-
getting a big part of their plan is to get new data centers, which are basically just
and the antennas like
warehouses.
mounted on plywood. Like
They're
it's
gonna need a
hilarious,
bigger-
right?
They're going to need a bigger boat.
bigger warehouse in Brooklyn. Anyway, so you basically stream live television to yourself over the computer.
They need to put
Over
by
the
the way,
internet, right?
Can I just say something? They need to put that warehouse somewhere else because Brooklyn is not.
No, they have to. So they're
there's not a lot of, like,
geographically
spacious.
They're geographically limited, right? So
Well, yeah,
if
but
they
could
want
go to
New York
Queens,
TV
right?
stations,
Could they go to the Bronx?
I don't know.
Could they go to Riverdale?
Brooklyn's a big place. Anyway,
Could they go to Rivendell?
Rivendell.
Yes.
So the broadcaster sued them and said you can't capture our signals over there using these little antennas and stream them over the internet to people. It's
Yeah,
illegal,
you can't resell
which is
our stuff.
insane. And Aereo said, why? It's just like we're just renting the antennas out. And so basically the argument came down to the broadcaster said, well, when the cable company puts up one big antenna and runs a cable to your house, they have to pay us.
Right.
You're putting up thousands of little antennas and using the internet and saying you don't, and that doesn't make any sense. Aereo said, no, you're stupid. This is like we're leasing you an antenna and a sling box, and that's all that's happening. And the court basically stomped the broadcasters. They said the broadcasters have yet to explain why this is different than putting a roof on your an antenna on the roof of your house.
Because that's perfectly legal, right?
Just to be
I have a
perfectly
coaxial
clear,
cable
here's
just coming into my TV, and that works. And it's
From the roof of
Just to
your
be
house.
clear, here's why broadcasters are freaking out.
Right.
They believe that if enough people do this, they will stop subscribing to cable.
No, what they believe, because who is the real customer of the broadcaster? It's not you. It's Time Warner.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And they believe that Time Warner will say, screw it. Why am I paying you for my one big antenna? I'm going to just put up 1,000 little antennas and stop paying you the billions of dollars in retransmission.
Oh, that's the fear. Because I was thinking
that's the overwhelming fear of the
I was thinking the
broadcaster.
fear was like if people can get the basic, some of the a lot of what people want is like local channels. If they can get that without
Aereo.
having cable at all.
Well, I think so. That's fine. So that, I mean, these
There's
are two
it's gotta
different.
be at least twofold,
There are
I
two revenue streams. The broadcasters, right? ABC,
Right.
whatever. You put up the antenna. They're legally required to like broadcast you stuff. You watch their ads. That's great. The other stream,
Which,
is,
by the way, sorry, go ahead.
well, but the other revenue stream, and the more important one is they literally send the stuff over satellites to Time Warner and Comcast
Right.
and
They have
Prairie
deals. They have
networks.
deals with all the cable companies
They
to deliver
have
their
to have
feed
deals.
to
And
them.
cable companies pay them billions of dollars.
And they
And that's where you get bundling, and that's where you get
otherwise
channels.
otherwise they sell advertisements and make money.
Right,
off
but
of
that's
that.
why Fox can say, well, if you want to carry Fox proper broadcast, you have to carry FX, and you have to
So
carry
you're
our
saying
other-
that you're saying that Time Warner could say, and by the way, I don't think that they could do this.
No, they definitely can do this now.
Yeah, but someone would
Aereo
say,
wins-
but a single person like a point to point deal versus a like. Oh, I guess it'd be the same.
It's
actually,
same.
it's exactly the same.
It's if they can say, look,
I mean, now that I think
we
of it,
have
it is
an antenna
identical.
for all of our customers.
Yeah, I mean, Aereo is basically just a cable company now.
Aereo's that has always been.
And they have a guide. They have a guide.
It's
and
a cable company, and they've always been.
The difference is it doesn't go to your television.
It goes to your, but it could.
Well, but they
have an app for Roku.
They have a Roku.
Yeah,
so it does go to your television.
Right. So I mean,
Through
literally,
Roku.
in the argument,
This
the
is crazy.
broadcaster's
This is
argument,
bonkers, by the way. Like, it goes to your television through Roku.
Through the internet, and so again, the argument has always been from ABC and CBS. Of course, was one of the lead. CBS looked at innovation and like immediately began throwing thunderbolts at it from the sky.
Here's what I would do.
But no, so the the CBS's argument has always been you're just a cable company. And the fact that you have a lot of little antennas and you found a loophole, and they went to the court and they said, look, this company is designed. Like their technology is designed to evade the copyright law, and that should be illegal. And the court came back and said, no, their technology was designed to evade the copyright law,
which makes it legal,
and it works. And that's like it. It was remarkably
here's the question.
Tech savvy.
What's going to happen is are there going to be
the CEO of Aereo did a little.
Changed?
Greg interviewed him. Greg's amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
Greg Sandoval is like one of the best.
Greg Sandoval is a beautiful man and a wonderful journalist.
I mean, just having somebody else who's as nerdy about copyright law around.
No,
I feel bad for Greg.
You got a bunch of.
He walks in and like
I feel like we now have a bunch of people on our team that you are like having a weird love affair with over nerdy copyright.
Look, it's
infringement.
It gets
really intense.
It really does.
Anyway, so Greg did an interview with the CEO of Aereo, and I forget his name off the top of my head, but
you jerk.
Oh, I just always remember Barry Diller. But his line was, if they fail in the courts, their next move is inevitably to go to Congress. And Greg's piece was very much like, he doesn't sound like overjoyed. He sounds like he passed step one. And that's true. Like they can go.
They're going to keep.
They're going to go back to trial. They have some other counts.
The Supreme Court would
at
be
trial,
next, right? That's
well,
like
so it's like,
do they have to go there?
No,
there were many
Congress?
parts of the argument, and the preliminary injunction, the stop running your business while we figure out this legal argument, failed. Right. So they're going to keep running the business.
And ultimately, like when it's not about, I mean, there are cases like this when you want some kind of congressional.
Yeah.
You want a congressional ruling on it, not to take it to the Supreme Court.
And if you ask the TV policy, because TV, it's weird that we think about internet policy as being like this new thing. Like, why are they all looking at the internet? Because the last technology the last two were satellite radio and cable television that had the same level of like immediate interest from the government. And it's literally, if you ask the TV policy guys, they're like, all you have to do to swing a district is to tell them that the congressman is going to make TV more expensive.
Let me ask you this. What's to stop another company from basically utilizing Aereo's business model?
So this is, here's where the Aereo story gets really incredibly weird. There's this billionaire named Alki David. You know
Alki David, yes.
He has a company in California.
Another guy worth reading about.
Alki David emailed me. Alki David is the heir to the. He emailed me about a story. I think he might have sent a mass email, but it looked like it went just to me. And I was like, "Why is Alki David emailing me?"
So he's this crazy. He's like Israeli billionaire.
He's not only Israeli. He is the heir to the Coca-Cola Hellenic shipping company or something,
is that true?
Which is like a.
He started Film On.
Just please.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's not Israeli. Yeah, Nigeria-born Greek Cypriot.
No, yeah.
I got that about as wrong as possible.
Please,
I apologize.
please.
Well done.
I encourage you.
His full name is Alkaviadis.
I encourage you to find his Instagram feed.
Okay.
Oh no.
Let me just finish.
Just take a look because I did a little research into Alki David.
So he started a company called Film On. He's like a billionaire, but he also started a company in California called Aereo Killer. I don't know why.
That's the name of the company.
The name of the company is Aereo Killer. Same business model.
It's a power move.
And the goal of that company is to lose the same lawsuit in the California courts.
He's a little,
which is crazy.
I don't want to slander the guy. I don't want to slander Alki David because he'll probably sue.
But that's insane.
He might be a little bit of a scam artist. That's my take.
He's a very rich scam artist. But
very
anyway,
rich.
So all this Aereo stuff is happening,
and
then on the other side of it, there's this like weird Aereo Killer in another. He's got
other designs. I think you need to look into his work, his previous work. I mean, Alki David is not like just a regular guy who happened to do that. Right. He also was in lawsuits with CNET. We actually wrote about him. We made reference to him in one of the stories we wrote about CNET's.
Right. So Aereo Killer, by the way, has lost their case in California.
Oh, so they've won
because they're called Aereo Killer.
So they've won. This is like crazy. Like, I mean, to start a company with this business model,
to lose it so they could set a precedent.
So they could set a
precedent. Say like
precedent.
Aereo is illegal, and we can tell you because here we fought it in court and it was beat.
So Aereo can't expand to California.
So we now have a precedent.
Yep. So they fought to lose, which is crazy.
So do you like hire terrible lawyers and
let's
show up drunk?
Yeah, you hire me.
What it boils down to is that there's something very wrong with our legal system in America.
Well, it's split up, right? I mean,
I don't know why we keep acting like these states are in any way related. I mean, honestly, I don't understand it. We're just like a bunch of little countries, and I think we just need to get
that's always it's called the United States, not the there's a king of America.
Yeah, no.
There should be a king of America.
No, I don't want there to be a king of America.
You want there to be several kings.
I want there to be 50 kings.
And then, let's say a 7-season battle.
I want there to be to be 50 kings, and you do whatever you want with your little kingdom.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it all turns out.
Because that worked really well for Europe.
Everyone who's ever tried it.
For Westeros.
I don't know. It's worked okay for England.
Wait, so I want to know. I have another question about Area.
How did it work okay for
England? They're doing all right.
Because
they're still a country.
One king.
Yeah.
Well, what? For their country. For their little country. You know how tiny England is? You can put it in your back pocket.
So we have to divide America into England-sized states.
Yeah, England-sized.
You don't have to. They are all England-sized.
Look, well, I want to be king of Montana.
You can be. There's no one else there.
Exactly.
Just go now.
Wide open, man. No speed limits.
Get to Montana. I think in Montana there are like more cows than people, actually.
That's cool. King of the cows.
Yeah. Cow king.
My people will be very happy.
Patel. Yeah, your people will be psyched. They're like, finally, some representation of the cow in the cow world. Okay. Anyhow, what else do we have?
I have one more question about Aereo before we move on.
Yeah.
So at this point, like, what's to stop Aereo from going to ESPN or whoever and signing them up to use them? So is that the next step?
So this is the leverage for that.
Or
I don't think Aereo's key innovation in the world is the thousands of little antennas. I think their key innovation is that they exist.
Well, but if they cut a deal, but here's the thing.
They deliver television to people over the internet.
But all Aereo has to do at this point is look, you have a Roku, right? Aereo's a channel on it. Yeah. Netflix is a channel.
I pay for Aereo too. It's
ESPN could be a channel. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Oh, they have Bloomberg.
Right. So
Aereo signed up Bloomberg.
But
that's why I asked.
But I'm saying, but they could sign up ESPN or HBO
they can do all this
Netflix.
Stuff. So their key innovation is that literally that they exist and that they're providing people with television that they want.
So what has to happen now is Comcast shows up and buys them for a tremendous amount of money and this all goes away.
And
I don't think Barry Diller's selling anything to Comcast.
Yeah, I think I mean literally
Apple might buy them.
Right.
There's your Apple TV cheat monster.
But so they have all these problems.
But the problem is,
Aereo's like they can't stream New York television to people in Wisconsin.
Right. Also,
so they've got to build a warehouse.
I live in New York.
Also, they're nowhere near being done getting sued. I mean, in a year's time, they could be shut down.
Right.
So, and that's like a real possibility. That's not like, that could happen, but it's small.
They're nowhere near being done being sued, and they're nowhere near CBS and Fox and ABC going to Congress and being like, check out our money.
I will say this though, if you, I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
If you want to watch New York television and you live in California, you definitely can do it with Aereo as long as you tell them that you're in New York and they're just getting your IP wrong.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But you can only watch New York TV.
Yeah, it's New York TV.
So you're gonna get
but you'd have an Aereo. You'd have an Aereo in every.
I mean, Aereo's great.
You'd have an Aereo in every region. Montana, for instance, lots of room for Aereos.
Yeah,
antennas. But you would have to have them in every state that they service.
Every market. Right.
Every market.
And those markets are cut up by the
which is like an insane amount of work.
But that's the thing. So Aereo's current business model is like. The key innovation is not we're going to put the antennas everywhere.
Right.
It's not we're going to follow these old Byzantine rules for broadcast television and like hack the internet onto it. Their key innovation is they found the loophole that allows them to exist like this. And once now they can go to AMC and Cartoon Network and whatever and say we're delivering ABC and CBS. You could be next, and we'll pay you for it. You have to, which is what the cable companies did initially.
So then, does this become my $80 a month cable bill? I just get it over the internet now.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
That's what everybody wants.
I would love that.
But that's where their heads. What $12 a month?
$12 a month, yeah,
which is expensive.
But I remember coming back from CES with you, and the Packers playoff game was on, and you watched the game in the cab, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing."
On Aereo,
yeah. It works really well. We haven't spent a lot of time because you can't get it outside of New York.
Right.
But if you're here, it works awesome. I mean,
you get it outside of New York as long as you tell them you're in New York.
Yeah.
But they're going to go out of business, right?
Nah, we'll
don't think
see.
so?
I think they're the company. I mean, assuming Alki David doesn't
Alki
get in
David's
the
gonna
way.
get them.
Yeah. It's like a money fight between him and Barry Diller.
Yeah, I think they just don't like each other.
Yeah.
I think that's why he started a company called Aereo Killer and
Maybe.
purposely
Rich
lost the
guy
court
fights
case.
are the best. I have to say.
Yeah.
But no, I think there's. I think they're the company that other companies will not latch onto. Right? They're winning these victories. They've got the Barry Diller money behind them.
Yeah.
They're going to be the
BDM.
one. They're going to be the one that makes TV over the internet like happen in a real way.
Right.
And it's just slow and steady.
I'm excited about it. It seems like a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real for now. The technology is super interesting.
Yeah.
What happens to Aereo in a bad storm? Does it go out? Do we know?
So I have a belief that they're saying that this is how it works, and that they're backing up. There's some redundant that they're doing a good job of like making it.
That would be illegal.
That would be illegal. But I don't know.
I don't think
how the way the law is structured. I don't know how any like IT guy is like, you know what we'll do? We will make 10,000 copies of the same show on 10,000 hard drives. Like,
Yeah.
that is dumb. Like, that's just openly dumb. And they're gonna have to get around that somehow. And I think that they're doing it in some way because it's dumb to do it any other way.
iCloud.
Pretty much.
All right. What else we have?
So we're just gonna wrap up. The last one is Ouya, which a TV story that's like a fail.
Yeah, really.
So David reviewed
the changing.
reviewed.
We've been calling it the
Reviewed.
Review Ya for like 3
Review
days
Ya.
now.
Oh, you're fired.
John Lagomarsino. Thanks, John. You just got me fired.
It's an interesting time for the living room.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Ouya.
I want to start with you. You backed this thing on Kickstarter.
Ooh,
Why?
I did. Well, I wanted one.
Why?
I only backed it so I could get one. I wouldn't say I paid $99 for this. I don't consider that backing. It cost me $99 to
Okay,
get
you
an
bought
Ouya.
one.
I bought one.
Why did you want
I mean,
one?
they
Why'd you
call
buy
it
one?
backing, but that was not my intention.
So this is a huge fight in our comments, but go on.
My intention was to buy one
Yeah.
because I wanted to check it out. Why? Does anybody do anything? The world is a mysterious place, full of light and color. I don't know. It seemed interesting. There's like a $99 Android-based console with a whole new, idea. Why not? Sure, I'll check it out. It's very low risk for me. $99.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's
Plus, if it's bad, expense it, and we all go home.
I will. I'm definitely going to expense it. No, and it just seemed like an ambitious, crazy thing, and I thought like if they could pull this off, it'd be really awesome. And if they don't, well,
Yeah, well, they did.
it was $99.
Yeah.
And they didn't pull it off yet. I mean, I'll say this: it's very disappointing. I played it. I was very disappointed with it. The game selection is bad. The implementation is bad. The interface is sluggish. The hardware is extremely mediocre. I did think. I mean, for $99, it's not bad.
Sure. I mean,
but-
it exists, and like that's
you can
something.
see here, you can get a sense of the slow interface. We see some of this video.
Yeah.
It feels a lot slower than it actually looks. Like it actually looks sort of decent here. It's sort of a shame because I think there's a lot of good ideas, a lot of good stuff
Yeah.
at play. And it just, I don't think they should have released it in March.
Yeah.
They should have released this in
this is the
July.
big-
Well, this is the big argument, right?
or
Is that
around
it's
the
coming
holidays.
Out, it's
Yeah.
coming out in it's coming out in June. But
Yeah.
like 60,000 people who backed it on Kickstarter. What they're trying to spin this as, if you backed it on Kickstarter, you're admitting, you signed up to get a beta product that isn't finished, and you are like along for this ride with us. But like, I don't think that's what happened. I think people paid $100 for a $100 product because they wanted the $100 product.
Yeah. Right.
And now they're getting it, and I think anybody who did that is going to be deeply disappointed by this thing.
Yeah. Unless you're a developer.
Right. If you're a developer, this thing
it's
is
not
a
like
ton
they
of fun.
had.
There's all kinds of
Honestly,
stuff
it's
you
not
can
like
do
they
with
had
it.
competition.
Right.
On the $99
Right.
Kickstarter console, they could have just been like, "Listen, guys, the games aren't ready yet.
Right.
We want to make sure the experience is great. Developers are hard at work. We're going to hold this until June for our full global launch."
Right.
And tough cookies.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like,
Tough cookies. That's means something totally else. But
the whole this software isn't final, it'll get better is a lie that every company tells.
and remember,
and
it's
I'm
kind of
sort
like
tired
it's
of it
kind of
now.
like, yeah. I mean,
And sometimes they're right. Like, in this case, it's not hard stuff to fix. They just need to make the interface faster. And
well,
get a
no,
lot
some of
more
them are hard to
games,
fix. You
and-
need
Yeah,
you
but
need,
that
you need
make the
buy-in.
interface faster. Google's been trying to do that for like 5 years.
Google
Yeah.
got it. But
After
but-
5 years.
But they should.
Yeah.
But it's Android 4. It's not like rocket science. It's-
4.1, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
they made it worse.
Well, they made it worse, but I've heard over and over and over again that Android on a TV is like a problem. And that the reason that the Google TV team kind of fell apart is that they never got the support.
Well, I'm not going to blame Ouya on Android just yet.
Well, I mean, I think
let's
it's
blame
what I'm
Ouya on
saying,
Ouya right now.
I think it's much harder to do what they're trying to do
Sure.
than anybody's. It's not just make Android run faster, like optimize Android. I think there's another step, which is optimize Android to make it work on a TV.
You know what?
And that has been very difficult for a lot of people.
The Xbox interface used to be really sluggish too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not worried about the interface as much as I'm worried about this is the thing that's hard. Buy-in from publishers, buy-in from developers, and maybe they have it, but there are some key games that seem like they should have been easy to port. Something like Shadowgun. Well, they could show off what the hardware can do and is actually like a decent game.
Yeah. And the hard part there is that, and this is, I think, the mistake that Ouya may have made is by saying every game has to be free to download, like period.
Right.
So the two things that you have to do to port your game from
Shadowgun is
Android,
free, isn't it?
No, it's $5. I think.
Well, they could have done
$5 or
Dead
$6.
Trigger or something, which is free.
Sure.
Free.
But so the two things you have to do are make sure that it works with the controller, which is easy. It's just a Bluetooth controller. The devs have been doing that forever. And you have to make it free to download, which sounds small, but is actually, for if you want to like make money off your game, a tremendous amount of work because you have to build either in-app purchases or an upgrade system, or you have to have a demo version. And it just like, if I'm Shadowgun and I'm like, I'm making a ton of money off the Play Store and there's not that many people buying Ouyas, why would I take the time? So they end up with, again, this stupid developer chicken or egg problem that everybody seems to have.
It's a real, look, it's a huge undertaking. Oh, look at this. This is...
That game is fun.
This looks fun.
You just beat up a pig.
Where is
for
this?
like a long time.
What game is,
it's great.
What game is this?
It's called Beast Boxing.
Oh, you got Shadowgun running on there.
Yeah. And that's the other part
Frame
that kills me.
okay?
Is Shadowgun is totally playable. It is just
frame rates
a gigantic amount of work to get it onto the device itself. And this is why it's such a cool developer play thing, and why like I hope.
And that's
it
not even
becomes something
optimized,
better.
by the way.
No.
That's not even really
I had to
optimized.
spend 10 minutes remapping every button to do something right in Shadowgun. But once I did, the game works fine. It's like it could be great. It's just not.
What's troubling about it is that you only get one chance to make. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Right.
And the first impression here is, well, the hardware's a little bit janky, and I mean, the games aren't there, and the interface is sluggish.
Well, I mean, this is I think that there's a bigger thing about Kickstarter here to understand, right? Which is, Ouya came out. They asked for what, $900,000. I think Laura was saying in a meeting earlier today, and it's like they just wanted enough money to build a prototype.
They wanted to show what they were going to build, and then
go to like a store and be like, Best Buy, like invest in this, or like place an order, or like give us some way to build the rest of them. And what they ended up with $8.5 million from 60,000 people.
They ended up pre-selling 60,000 of them.
Yeah,
which is essentially what happened. They didn't get this like investment round. They pre-sold a bunch of them.
And then kept selling them.
And kept selling.
They didn't have to do that.
And, Pebble kind of had the same. I mean, I think the age of these massive Kickstarter projects from indie devs, I think Kickstarter doesn't want to have them. I think everyone just learned they're not a good idea.
I don't think that I don't fault Kickstarter here, but I think that
Kickstarter's like they put up their post. We're not a store. They're doing far more controlling of what's going on.
But I do think it's fine if you have I mean, I don't knock the ambition. I was saying this earlier. I don't knock the ambition. I'm all for people being ambitious. But if you're going to be ambitious, you need to deliver on it.
Right.
That's the thing about being ambitious.
And the thing,
if you're going to say you're going to make this cool new kind of console, like deliver on doing that well. Or else people are going to be like, well, who cares?
And Pebble really smartly was they took
waited
forever to get it out, but when they got it out, they got it out.
And that's my point.
It's the first impression.
And you got to admit, the Pebble watch is not bad.
No,
it does a lot of pretty cool things. It's not perfect.
I mean, I purposely don't have one because I'm afraid of having notifications on my wrist.
Because he talks all the time about the phantom vibrations now that he gets on his wrist.
Yeah, I liked it so much when I had it reviewing it that I was like, I don't know about this.
He's got to get glass.
Anyway, we got to wrap up. We have a lot more Ouya talk coming up on Top Shelf right after
this.
You
guys are doing Top Shelf. Okay, fine. So we should wrap up. That's fine. I got a lot of stuff to do. I got to pack. Going to the West Coast tomorrow.
Yeah. To watch Aerial Killer.
Work on my tan.
To watch Aerial Killer, yeah.
To work on my much needed tan. That's the Vergecast for this week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at vergecast@theverge.com. You can find us on Twitter. It's at Verge. I'm Joshua Topolsky. Nilay is Reckless.
Yeah.
David is Pierce David.
which you're again just deeply disappointed about.
Just sucks.
Just
sucks.
But whoever at David Pierce is, that guy gets.
Who is that guy?
super nice guy. We've hung out on Twitter a bunch of times.
And you can also leave a comment on the. Did I say this? When you comment on the post when it goes up, we love that. Right in our forums, you can put something in our forums. We wouldn't stop you from doing that. That's it. We'll be back next week with more Vergecast. Do I have any other announcements? No announcements. More Vergecast to get goodness. And stay tuned after this in a little bit. We're going to have, when does Top Shelf go on the air?
5:30, I believe.
5:30. Oh, so really soon.
Very soon.
In just a few moments, 15 minutes, Top Shelf will be on the air. And as always, I wish you and your family the very best for this upcoming holiday weekend.
Rock and roll.